Hello, good evening everyone. Welcome back to my channel Stop, Reflect and Go. So today I'm going to discuss a very important and very interesting topic, very close to my heart. I'm always curious to know about life after death stories. So this made me read this book, The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. Beautiful book it is, and this book is about a man who dies and he ends up in heaven. There he meets 5 people. All the 5 people he meets has some lesson to offer to him. So let's get started with the story. The story of a Eddie who dies on his 83rd birthday trying to save a little girl from a falling car. So Eddie works in an amusement park and his job is to maintain rides and helping kids with the swing. Eddie in his life, he has lost almost everyone, and deep down in his heart he knows that he is also going to die someday. So there are sequence of the events given in the book, and on his death day he comes to the amusement park. He is helping kids usually, and with 19 minutes left on his earth, he is sitting on a beach with his hand folded, and suddenly he listens to screams and shouting. When he turns around, he sees that something went wrong with the Freddy free fall. Eddie, along with his other men, they geared up. Of course, it was an emergency. Eddie moved around to the crowd, asked them to move back. He was doing all possible things to make things right. All of a sudden, he sees a little girl who's asking for the help, and Eddie wanted to help her badly, but suddenly he is knocked down by a falling car. So the last face he sees was that of a little girl and the hands for the help. Then after his death, Eddie lands up in the heaven, and there he meets 5 people. So the first man he meets in heaven is the blue man. Now the blue man says, Eddie, I have been waiting for you since long. And Eddie, he stares him as he does not know this man. But the blue man continues that, Eddie, you must be feeling like a child because you knew me when you were 1. He continues and says that on your 5th birthday, you were gifted a baseball by your parents. And you were so much excited that while playing with the ball, you end up in a street. And your ball hits the mirror of my glass, and as you were running after the ball, my car skids away. Somehow I managed to save you, but the shock of saving you was so much that I died of the heart attack. So Eddie was in a shock at this point. So then Eddie says that so I am here for justice. Are you going to punish me, or are you also going to make me harm me or do something bad to me? The blue man said, no, I am here to teach you your first lesson, that there are no random acts. No occurrence in this universe is random, and that all lives are connected for a reason. You may not know how your act may cause a ripple in the other part of the universe. So he say, you may sometimes feel that it is a miracle when a lightning strikes just before you have left the place, or when an airplane crash just before you have missed your flight, or when your colleague he falls sick and you don't fall sick. You may think that they are all random events, but no, there is a balance to it. The blue man, he asked Eddie that you might be thinking that you must have died instead of me. But the blue man, he clarifies that in his lifetime also, people have died instead of him. Now the second story goes this way, that Eddie is in his 17s now and his country enters the war. Now he sees that many young people are fighting for his country, and so one day he decides that he will also join the army. So the second person he meets in the heaven is his commanding officer. So the first question Eddie asked his commanding officer was that, did I kill you? To which commanding officer replied that no, you didn't kill me. So after that they have long talks, they talk about their teammates and much more. So during the war, Eddie and his commanding officer, along with 3 more members, total 5 of them, they were captured by enemy soldiers. They were tortured to heights, they grew thin and weak, they were forced to strip coals for enemy war. And Eddie is one of the teammate his name was Robozo. He was also killed because he was not keeping well, and the enemy soldiers, they showed no courtesy. So one day Eddie and his commanding officer decided to flee from that place. Now they made a full-fledged plan that how they will be moving out from that place. On the said day, when they were about to exit, suddenly Eddie sees a shadowy image of a little girl who was shouting for help. Eddie asked her to move out, but the commanding officer and the other teammates were asking Eddie to move out as fast as he can, as they were about to exit that place. But Eddie did not listen to his commanding officer, and he kept on calling that shadowy image. After that, a piercing pain was felt in the Eddie's leg, and Eddie after that was bleeding. Now after this he could not remember anything. Now this is second story going on. The other part of the story, which is going on in the heaven, goes like this, that the commanding officer says to Eddie that I want to confess one thing, that I was the one who shot you. Now Eddie at this point was full of anger, because that shot in his leg has damaged his leg so much that it was beyond repair. After that incident, Eddie was not able to walk properly. His life was no more same as it was before. So the commanding officer offers Eddie his second lesson, that was of sacrifice. He says, you made one, I made one, all of us make sacrifices. Big, small, sacrifices are part of our life, and it is not something that we should regret it. See, we see mothers sacrifice so much for their kids. A soldier who goes into the war sacrifice the love of his family behind, and sacrifice so much to go into the war. So we should not regret over the sacrifices we make. He was telling this Eddie because all of the life, Eddie kept thinking that he had lost his soul. Everyone is a cog in a wheel, and the wheel is no longer useful even if one is missing. So the third person he meets in heaven is his dad. So his dad is sitting in a corner and he is not able to hear Eddie. Now, like most of the children, Eddie's childhood was ruined and the damage was of neglect. He was never held by his father, or you can say that he was never loved by his father. And all of his younger years, he was just lashed and beaten by his father. So in heaven too, when he sees his father, his whole body is full of anger. And then all of a sudden, he hears a soft voice, that is Eddie. Now this voice is the voice of Ruby. Now Ruby was a lady who knew Eddie's father. So Ruby says that, Eddie, I'm your third person and I am here to give you third lesson, and your third lesson is of forgiveness. She says that forgive your dad. She continues that holding anger is like poison and it eats you from within. Now we always think that hating is a tool we use to others who harmed us, but it is like a curved blade, and the harm we do to ourselves. So we should never hold grudges against anyone. We should forgive others, and as we forgive others, we free ourselves from anger. Now the fourth person he meets in heaven is his wife. Now beautifully described the whole sequence when they met. And after some time, Eddie asked his wife that why did she leave him so soon, to which she replied that she did not leave him and she was right there besides him. Now giving him his fourth lesson, she says that life has to end, but love does not. When someone dies, memory becomes our partner, and love, it take another form, but it never dies. Now the fifth person he meets in heaven is a little girl. Now the same girl whom he saw in a shadowy image when he was in war. So when he meets her, he was in pain that he could not save her. So the little girl says that my name is Tara, and to which Eddie says that I'm sorry, I could not save you. But can I ask you one question, that was I able to save the little girl from the falling cart on the day of my death? To which Tara replied, yes, you were able to save her. Then all of a sudden Eddie went sad and he said, all of my life I accomplished nothing. My life was a waste. And I was not supposed to be where I was. To which Tara nodded and she said, giving him his fifth lesson, that he was supposed to be where he was. She says that many of us, we regret in our life that we are not able to accomplish this, we are not able to accomplish this, do that, or we are not able or we are not supposed to be where we are. She says we are where we are supposed to be. So she says to Eddie that you could not save me, but you kept safe so many children in the amusement park. So you were making amendments You were making good for me. Then Eddie asked Tara that when I was dying, I saw little hands. Whose hands were they? To which Tara replied that those were my hands. I brought to you heaven and I kept you safe. So this was the fifth lesson, and this was the last conversation Eddie had with his fifth person that he met in heaven. I found this book beautiful. Thank you for watching this. Please share your comments in the comment box. Thank you once again.